much. That was beautiful. So Leyla is a heart intelligence coach, an intuitive guide, a resilience coach, a holistic health coach, and the founder of Standing Light. Through Leyla's coaching practice and the Standing Light method, a movement-based meditation incorporating both guided and intuitive participation, individuals have been able to reconnect with their hearts for optimal clarity and intuition, helping many rising leaders and top performers recognize their potential, purpose, and direction.
Thank you so much, Margaret. So Leyla, if you just want to maybe tell us a little bit about your journey. You're currently muted, so I'll unmute. But yeah, just if you want to share how you got to the incredible place you're in your life, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, as I briefly shared a little bit already at the beginning, I was born and raised here in Switzerland, actually. And I know that what ultimately channeled Standing Light through me, which is my company, in 2014, was the foundation in which I grew up in. And my mom was born in Egypt, but she grew up in Lebanon. She's half Lebanese, half American. My father is Swiss, but he grew up between Colombia and Venezuela. I had one grandfather practicing Islam, praying to the sun. I had another grandfather going to church, super Catholic. And I got to be a part of the first international play group that my mom opened. And she took my slide from my room and put it in the room with all the other kids that I had to share with, got to share with. And it was this experience of sliding down the slide of life, right? With Sareka from India, with Susie from Australia, with Jamie from South Africa. And it was that way that I grew up. And then once I kind of came into this world and started being programmed and seeing how things are operating currently, it really broke my heart. And there were moments where I really remember vividly what happened. And I was still very, very connected to the etheric realm. I grew up with my angels and fairies and saw all of that. I was totally blown open. And when I entered first grade, the first day, I went into break wanting to go play as I usually would with my angels. And then suddenly everybody was pointing at me and making fun of me, thinking I was like completely crazy. And I remember really vividly running into a bush and looking at each and every one of my angels and telling them to go away and never come back. And I didn't remember this until 20 years later when I went through my first dark night of the soul. But I went into a regression therapy, basically through hypnotherapy. And I went back to that moment and I remembered that was the day after that I woke up with eczema all over my body. So the heartbreak, it ultimately was my first heartbreak of realizing the world we're currently operating in. And I knew that that's not how we were meant to and naturally designed to operate. And so soon after that, I started blasting open and reconnecting, and I healed my eczema in like a month after years and years and years of putting every steroid cream, everything you could ever imagine onto, the patches that were so itchy and raw and gross, honestly. And it started, it was bad. I have a blog where I even show the pictures, like it started growing up my whole face. It was really intense. So that was my catalyst moment. And it was the physical expression that ultimately helped me guide myself back into my heart and reinstate heaven on earth within my heart and through my heart. So my mission has been just that, to help individuals really realize that again, because all of us have created so many blocks and walls and heaviness around our hearts, right? And the first step is to, first of all, acknowledge that. Where are you not showing up in your light? Where are you still holding yourself back? Because there's shadow parts, there's heartbreak, there's fear, there's judgment. And the judgment, most of all, is towards ourselves, right? And when we get to really put up that mirror of someone that's decided to step up and stand in their light. And that's a daily practice. It's not like a one-time thing. It's as you all know, right? Like we are constantly on the journey, on the path. We're in the school of life, and every single day is another quiz, another test. Do you want to graduate with a PhD, or do you want to, not? So I really have just been so grateful to reconnect and to be able to help the most beautiful souls in the world to really realize and remember their love and their light within themselves, and stand in their light, step back into their light, and be those pillars of light, those lighthouses around the world. So there's many different practices and tools that I've created to help us break free from the heaviness, from the judgment, from the density, from the shadows that ultimately are just there to help be guides for us to enlighten those parts of us and heal and step back into our light and shine it.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the actual techniques you use? Like, how did you make the transfer from just having this passion of going in with your heart to making like a career out of it?
It was a journey. A long journey. Many dark nights of the soul as well. So I think the first thing was my past life in this lifetime was fashion. I was in the fashion industry. I was living in London. I was the youngest backstage manager at London Fashion Week. I was meeting, Jimmy Choos and just amazing people. And yet I felt so unfulfilled because it was just an ego mania. And it was difficult to move and maneuver through that, but I knew that what was getting me through that was my intuition. And I didn't know it then, but I realized what it was ultimately later on. So I think that was like the first awakening, right? Where I was like, okay, I've gotten to like a really top place within the fashion industry. How? But I just asked the question during the breakdown of my first dark night of the soul. Because in 1 year, my parents divorced. I broke up with the person I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I held my grandmother's hand as she was foaming out of her mouth and taking her last breath and guiding her soul from this life into the next. There was another really scary personal situation with my sister. So it was like everything in 1 year that could have just like collapsed and gone down and broken down did. And I was just standing there by myself in London, having that kind of eat, pray, love moment on the ground, on the floor of my apartment, just like, holy shit, how am I going to get through this? This feels like death. I feel like I'm going to die. And I just in that moment felt my higher self or God, spirit, whatever it was, all the above, just kind of lift me up from my heart. It felt like this like anchor that just kind of like pulled me up, and I stood up and I was like, this is the moment I get to prove to myself how strong I truly am. And I moved to LA after that, and started a whole new life. I had no idea what I was doing. I left the fashion industry and just moved to LA because I had already planned on doing that, because my ex-partner and I, that was our plan. But I was going to stay in the fashion industry there. And this time I knew, okay, I'm not going to be with him. I'm just going to start a whole new life there. So I went deep into studying health, energy, meditation, like everything. This was over 10 years ago now. And I connected and met with the most incredible people. I started going deep into self-development, starting with Landmark, and then like way beyond that. So through that journey, I was in LA for 2 years, and I was really doing all the work, and I was really just downloading all the tools, the codes, everything. And then I was invited by a shaman that I was working with to start meditating, and I resisted for so long. It was like this fight. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. No. Or like, yes, okay, I'll do it. But I didn't actually do it. Right. Like we want to do so many things, but we don't actually ever do it. Right. And so at one point, one of my highest guides channeled through her basically. And it was one of the scariest and most amazing experiences of my life, because she really just like, it was this all powerful force and source that just was like having a face-to-face with me and being like, Leyla, sit down and meditate. And I was freaked out. So I did it. And that's really when like the full journey began, because I felt this, I know, I want to say like, some people are triggered by this word, but I don't mean it in the negative realm, but I felt this entity wanting to birth through me. It's like when, you want to have a child, you can kind of almost feel its soul maybe around you, and then it's conceived and then you birth it, right? It was that very same feeling. I felt like there was this thing, this expression that I was meant to birth through me and share with the world. I don't know how else to explain it, because that might sound weird, but I just felt it. So I sat down, and within the third meditation I ever did, I just asked Spirit, I said, Spirit, give me the name of this thing that I know I'm meant to channel and birth into the world. And I was attached to the outcome. So obviously, as I'm seated, nothing came through. And I was really annoyed and frustrated. And I was like, fine, whatever. You suck, Spirit. And then I went up and took a shower, and it it was like, just like a shower of light, because that's when I disconnected to the attachment, right? And I was just like open and wide and receiving. And I saw, felt, and heard standing light all in one go. And I started like shampoo still in my hair, screaming and jumping around like a completely mad woman. And I ran down to my computer, and I wanted to go on GoDaddy to see if it was even available, which it was, to my absolute surprise, which then just even further confirmed this is what I'm meant to do. And then, Standing Light was born then. It really was a heart journey and a trustful experience where I never had a business plan. Still to this day, I don't have a business plan. It was a heart plan. And everything that I've created and everything that I share is really just channeled straight through my heart. The methods that I use are channeled. So the Standing Light method, which is one methodology that I use, it's one of the more famous ones, it's a combination of really meditation and movement, and it's very intuitive. So first we connect to Mother Earth, Father, Son, love and light, and then we experience and feel that love and light within our hearts, and then we expand it using the willpower within us out around us, really expanding our electromagnetic field, and then encoding it with all kinds of light magic. And we then are open, right? And also reinstated in our natural protective shield of light, because most of ours have been so manipulated. So this practice is something that you can do every single day once you know how to do it. And it reinforces your light and helps you stand in your light and really magnetize what exactly you want to call in. Because as we know, the electromagnetic field is electro and magnetic. And when we encode it with what we want, we magnetize what we want towards us. So that's a little bit about all of that.
Wow, that sounds so incredible. And as I was hearing you say all that, I was getting chills. It's a really powerful journey you've been on. I see that you do a lot of incredible things with women, like women's groups. I found personally, like some men's collectives have been transformational. Could you speak a little bit about the specific things you're doing now with women in regards to healing?
Absolutely. Yeah. So Sacred Space is the 2 months women's group that I run every 2 months. So the next one is starting September 7th, I believe. We're halfway into the one currently. And it is a sacred space where we all come together and rise together through the intelligence of the heart, through collective healing practices, through Standing Light method, through really any magic that wants to come through. And it's the most divine sacred space that I've ever been able to experience and witness profound transformation within, because everybody comes at their, in their own way, at their own state. And somehow this like beautiful weaving in takes place, and we just like unify in light and love and rise together. And we all, create really powerful intentions from at the beginning that we want to manifest by the end of it. And we go through, I offer cellular reprogramming, shamanic practice as well on one of the calls. Every call has its own purpose, and it's all really divinely aligned in a sense for the greatest outcome for all.
It's incredible. It looks like all the women are having a ton of fun, which is cool. Like, I know that feeling. Like when we get together with the guys, you know, like this Thursday, we're doing like a full moon ceremony, and it's just the best to be in celebration, you know, with your tribe. So I honor you for putting that together for women, and it really does. All the women in here should check it out, because it looks like you guys are having a blast and truly healing. So could you speak a little bit more, and then we'll open it up to anyone else that has questions about just like the benefits you've received from your own heart, just like a little bit more. I know people in here are familiar with it, maybe vaguely, but you are a true heart warrior and leader. So if you could just talk about like the actual real benefits you've received from using your heart for healing.
Oh my gosh. I feel like that's the biggest question I've probably ever been asked, because it's everything, you know. Without my heart, I wouldn't even be. Without my heart, I wouldn't even exist. And reconnecting and using this divine expression of love and light within me, it makes me live every single moment and every single day in the way that I was destined to. The healings, the realizations are unlimited, you know. I mean, and I think the most beautiful thing about it too is you might have a healing and you might have a realization or like a total download, but then like 2 years later you remember that, and it's like a song, right? We hear our favorite song over and over and over again. We know every single lyric, and then suddenly we're hearing it again, like on one random day, which ends up being a life-changing day, and suddenly we hear that one word and that one verse, and it just like blasts us open, right? And brings us right back into present moment, and we have a total life-changing experience, right? So the magic and the power and the medicine of the heart is infinite, and it keeps on giving exactly what we need in that very moment. And you know, I would actually love to share about like that, really the medicine itself of the heart, because so many of us are turning to plant medicine and to other types of medicines outside of ourselves, when we are on the frontier of finally having enough space and energy and awareness of this intelligent force within us. Why are we still turning to something outside of us when we haven't even yet actually consciously created the time and space to use the medicine of our heart? And I think that that's, you know, I'm in the journey every single day of that. You know, I experienced and did all the things, the medicines, the drugs, the dark stuff, all of it. You know, I've been there, I've done that, and I was meant to do that for me to be able to speak upon it from a knowing place. And I can tell you there's nothing more powerful than the medicine of the heart. And when you apply, I mean, you know, nowadays we're all going for ayahuasca ceremonies or whatever, like you're putting money, time, energy. People are even doing a huge cleanse a month before or something, right? To do all of that. What if you did that for yourself and sat for a week with the medicine of your heart? Imagine the life-changing experiences you would have by that. So, I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Oh no, you definitely are. And it's cool to just hear another like heart warriors interpretation of how they use it, because it's beautiful. And it just plugs you into the magic of all things, you know. So if anyone else has any questions, just raise your hand, and while people are getting their questions ready, I'll probably keep asking you more.
Yeah, go ahead. I just want to share. It just started pouring.
Nice.
I was like, what? So we're being cleansed right now.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Do you do so what's like a day in the life for you, like as far as like your spiritual practices or things that you're actively doing now?
Yeah. Literally the first thing I do upon just opening my eyes, I'm still in bed. I'm still half asleep, and I've trained my body to just go like that. And I put my hand on my heart, and I'm still like halfway in dreamland, which is epic, because then you can actually almost still consciously remember your dream. So if you have a hard time remembering your dream, that's a really easy way to just like stay in your dream and receive the downloads from that dream, by the way. So sometimes I just do that, but at some point, finally, then just check in and say, good morning. I love you, Leyla. And I have a mantra that was in LA that same time where Standing Light channeled through me. I don't know where this came from. But I literally started chanting in my inner voice, I love you, Leyla. I love you, Leyla. I love you, Leyla. I love you, Leyla. And when I first started doing that, it felt so incredibly uncomfortable. I was like, ugh. And I knew I had to break through it. That's why I was channeling through me. So I do that. And obviously you use your own name, please. And then, so I wake up, I just channel love through me. I consciously, I do the Standing Light method still kind of ish in bed, right? Before I like really go and do it. I really reconnect my roots of light to the core of Mother Earth, reconnect my pillar of light to the center of Father Sun, and just like really connect. And then I get out of bed, and the first steps I make and take are just conscious love and light on Mother Earth. And if I have a specific intention for the day, or I need to get something done, I usually just kind of sit with that for a moment as well. And I kind of just like feel and envision it. And I just ask and say, like, let me show up in my highest good for all and myself. And then I get my Purium on, I do all the green shakes, and the lemon water with the Himalayan sea salt. And then I sit down, pull an oracle card, or open my Course in Miracles. That's kind of like my playtime. So it's intuitive, whatever I feel like in that moment. But I definitely sit and do the full Standing Light method at some point in the morning then.
That's beautiful. There's so much to that simple act of just like putting your hand on your heart and saying, I love you. I want to try that, because I've been reading a lot about how, what shows up in our external world is what we're like actually putting inward. So if you say, I love you to myself, the world's going to reflect that love back to you.
Yeah.
And so often now we wake up and we roll out of bed and we do the things that the external environment's calling us to do. Yeah, like check this, check that. And we're just sending our energy outward. And like a lot of our speakers recently have really been focusing their message on returning to inward authority, and just taking the time to give yourself that love. So I'm going to incorporate that into my daily practice. I'm going to use Kyle, say I love you, Kyle, but I like that. And then could you speak a little about, you talked about Purium. I'm Purium too. What's how has green living nutrition influenced your healing journey?
It was definitely the like parallel key to the heart medicine. I wonder if we must know a lot of the same people, but
Definitely.
Yeah. I lived right next to Irwan in California. So my friend Ronnie Landis was working there. And I don't know if any one of you know Irwan in California, but it's changed a lot, similar to Whole Foods, but you could walk in and everything was organic. There was this alchemist bar, and you could go up and just say like, oh, I have period cramps, or like I feel foggy, or like I feel depressed, or whatever. And they would just like, the original like alchemists that brought the recipes there would just create the most magical concoction for you. And whether it was placebo effect or not, it was like you drank it and you were healed and you were good to go. So that, that was over 10 years ago. And that was kind of my entry to like true health, like the first time I heard reishi, ashwagandha, cordyceps, all of that, I thought they were speaking Chinese, but really it was like all these incredible healing plants and foods. So I started implementing that from a long time ago. And then I went through IIN, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and got certified as a health coach. So that's been a part of my journey for many, many, many years. And then recently I found Purium because of all the people from LA that I trust really, truly with my health. And I've been checking in with them. And I just felt like, okay, I really want something now to help land me here, because it was the last 3 years were another dark night of the soul kind of moment. And I knew I just needed to, now that I'm like landed and grounded here and I've made the decision to be here, I wanted to just like really cleanse into it. So it's when you realize that plants are the medicine we need and you choose to like nourish your body with them on a daily basis, your light quotient just by that alone is going to enlighten and activate to higher frequencies when you're putting foods in your body.
Thank you. I don't know if anyone else has any questions. I'll keep asking, but I want to just make sure I didn't miss anybody that has a question. I saw recently that you had something potentially published in Switzerland, or you're doing some work that's transformational in Switzerland. Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yes. So most of I'm really excited about this because most of my trauma started here. Switzerland is it's like black and white, you stay in line. It is the most beautiful country in nature because they are very strict about how they operate. And when I was in 4th grade, math here is like God. And either you become an engineer or a banker in Switzerland. If you're not one of those, you're basically just like doing whatever in life. Nobody understands what your purpose is. So I was math, especially the way they taught it, just never computed, pun intended, for me. So my grades were just really bad in math. And my teacher in 4th grade literally looked me straight in the eyes. I was 10 years old, I think. And he said, "Leyla, you're stupid and you're never going to go anywhere." So obviously I took that on. And later down the line, I had this healing moment of forgiving him, in just like my own, I wasn't with him. I've never seen him since, but, in that same healing moment, really using the medicine in my heart and using its forgiveness, the spirit immediately channeled through me and was like, say this to him, right? And I looked at him in my inner vision healing and I said, I might not be using my mind the way you think I should, but it's because my heart is far more intelligent and I've been using that intelligence and you just don't compute that yet. So that was a really big shift. And when I moved back to Switzerland, all that fear and all that trauma and all that stuff came back up and I had to face it. And I got to face it. And that's ultimately why I know I was guided to come back here to really awaken the heart from here, but continuing beyond, right? But the healing had to be done here even more deeply. So a few weeks ago, we published the first ever heart intelligence article in Switzerland. And it's since up until, I think it's just, we're 3 weeks in and they usually check the numbers at the end of the month, but already now it's the number 3 most read article. Yeah.
Wow, I got chills again. Congratulations. That's the best when you have like some motivation from a young age, somebody saying you can't specifically do anything and you hang in there, you don't let it break you. And then look at, I wonder if he reads it now. The article.
I don't even, honestly, he was very old, so I don't even know if he's still alive.
Yeah.
I should check.
Well, it's good that, that motivated you. Yeah, it's literally so incredible that those things we use for motivation, that just blows my mind. And in that article, it's about specifically the power of the heart.
Yeah, I can send it to you. I can share it with you all because I don't know. I use Google Chrome, and there's it automatically translates anything.
Oh, so cool. Yeah, I remember that's what I tried doing. I went to read it and it was in a different language, so I stopped, but I was proud of you regardless.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know if it's just, sometimes you just do things automatically and you don't remember if that just came with Google Chrome, but
if you send me the translated copy, I'll share it with the Quantum Healing Collective.
Okay. I don't know how to send the translated one because it's like integrated into mine.
Oh, okay.
I think if you Google, Chrome translation tool,
I'll find a way.
Or let me see if I can copy paste it. I mean, it's not going to be like the nice spread,
Right.
It'll be just like a chunk of words, but
I just love to read it for sure.
Yeah, I'll try to do that.
So one thing I heard you say too is that you channel. Could you speak a little bit about how that works for you? Because there's all different types of channels and how people allow spirit to move through. But I'm always curious to see, like, how is that happening in somebody? Yeah.
So the way it happens for me is I guess I'm clairvoyant. I don't say that really. I'm not on the phone, like telling people their lives, but, that's how I receive my visions. Like it's very visual. So since a young age, I was just connected, and I shared like the reality in heaven on earth, beyond the veil, beyond the matrix, was like, I lived and breathed that. I was there. And then the disconnection happened. And then ever since then, I've been reconnecting, and it's a daily practice. There's moments where I will, life happens to me and it just knocks me off center for a moment. And I'm like, all right, let's reconnect again. So, for me, it's always been through visions, and especially when I sit down, and just sit in my morning practice, I just open myself up, and I call in my guides, my angels. I call in spirit. I recently started calling in Mother Mary because her energy has been very present for me. And I just sit and I ask, what am I meant to see and receive today in this moment? And then I start just, I detach, I let go of any outcomes, and I just am. And then slowly but surely things just start kind of trickling in, and my mind then wants to make meaning, and I just let it be. And I just let the visions come in and come through. That's usually how, but sometimes, and a lot of times also, I can see, where the blocks are for individuals. And I've been learning more now to really speak that, and, if it's asked, if they want that, to share that.
Beautiful. Thank you. So the last question I'll ask you is, what are the different ways we can support you? What are your offerings? And how can people get in touch with you, and work with you? All the stuff. You're
welcome to go on standinglight.com. I am running now, it's not on the website, but it's a Standing Light Illumination offering for a 3-month coaching one-on-one with me. It's very, very reasonably priced. And it really is a 3-month process where we go deep into our hearts and we really learn how to stand in our lights. And I guide you through step by step for 3 months. So there's that. Sacred Space, the women's group, will start again in September. I'm super active on Instagram, which is at Standing Light. Definitely sign up to my newsletter on my website. I share all kinds of light bites and updates on there as well. What else? I think that's it. Yeah. If you, awesome. And I can share my email here. If you're interested in the 3-month Standing Light Illumination offering, just send me an email, and then
beautiful. Yeah, so we'll replay this on YouTube, and a lot of our followers will see it there. Okay. So I'll send you this too, so you can have the copy of this recording and use it however you want. But
awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So what we do is we close the meeting with a prayer to all those awakening at this time. So if everyone could close your eyes, we put our hands out and pretend that we're locking hands with others. This was recommended by one of our speakers, so it's been fun to do. So we dedicate the merit of this meeting to all of those awakening at this precious time May our efforts to better ourselves help shift the planetary consciousness from fear into love. May this energy ripple out into the world and awaken those with closed hearts, illuminate closed minds, and inspire all to live within the presence of compassion and generosity.